Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss Brexiteers' latest embarrassing material with which they've been given to work, as they have to hail the idea of wine in pint bottles as some sort of major victory, when in true Brexit fashion it would actually just be a way of hiding the fact that we're paying more. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. Right, Christmas jumper in the wash, which means back to work, normal schedule from today onwards. But yeah, latest on Brexit benefits yesterday is wine in pint bottles. Brexiteers are left hailing this new choice because they have to attack everything the EU do. Like literally everything the EU do has to be wrong. It can't just be, oh, but we don't like this and that, and we'd like to be able to do all the things the EU do well, plus some others as well. No. Everything the EU do is wrong. But the idea of standard size wine bottles is not just something the EU do. You get it in markets around the world. What the size is varies in different markets. I think it varies by 5 cent. Is it 70 centilitres in America, for example? But so what that standard size is can vary. But what that standard size, the fact that there is a standard size, no, that's common. And the reason is because having a standard size makes it cheaper for consumers. I mean, we have different size wine bottles anyway. I mean, we had them in the EU, but there was a standard 75 centilitre size, because it makes it cheaper. You need different production lines for different size bottles. The manufacturers of the bottles themselves, if they can sell more of a particular type of bottle, then economies of scale, they can sell each bottle cheaper. The more standard sizes you have, the fewer of each size bottle is required. That's just maths, which means the manufacturers can't sell as many of each bottle, so the cost of each one is more. And people understand the concept as well, that you pay more for smaller quantities of things. Like, because the government aren't talking about, oh, we'll sell them in 2 litre bottles for, economies of scale. Because offers aside, like, people know if you go into a supermarket, if you buy 2 1 litre bottles of squash, you pay more than a single 2 litre bottle of the same squash. I know that, I buy Vimto. If ever you see one of these pint bottles of wine, I'm yet to find anyone actually stocking them, by the way, but if you do, at some point we probably will. If you work out the cost of the wine per 100 mils, it's going to be more than in a 75 centilitre bottle. It's not even like there's an argument of choice for the consumer, because like you buy wine, you pour some of it into your glass, and then you put the bottle away for next time. There are only 3 types of people who are going to look at this and go, oh yeah, pint bottles, yes, that's a good idea. The first will be the Brexit grifters, who have to promote everything we're doing now differently as a great thing, without ever considering whether it is or it isn't. The grift absolutely demands it. Second will be those who sort of want to go along with Brexit, but they don't drink wine. So they'll think to themselves, oh, well, it makes sense. Isn't it more choice? I mean, maybe some people like pint bottles of wine, but because they don't drink it themselves, they're not really putting themselves in the shoes of a wine drinker. Like, for example, nobody orders a pint of wine at the pub. Very few drink wine by the pint at home. I can't say nobody does, but we know that it's not enough to be worth it. And then there's the third type of person who might approve of this. Actually could be a wine producer who spots a marketing opportunity. I know, I'll sell pint bottles of wine for the Brexit supporters. They'll buy it, they'll have to, it'll be their patriotic duty. But the people who actually drink wine aren't going to be fobbed off with this nonsense. 75 centilitre bottle is fine. If a standard bottle keeps the cost down, why would you want lots of different sizes? Like in the days of cork, you could sort of go, well, ideally you'd have just enough because, you can't jam a cork back in. But then we had the vacuum stoppers, and that's sort of the problem. Oh, that is easy. Take the cork out, pour some wine out, vacuum stopper in, put it away. Brilliant. And these days, Table Plonk has a screw top anyway. I saw one Brexit grifter on Twitter trying to say, oh, this is actually really good, you see, because a pint is the perfect amount to share with another at lunch or at some meal. Now, here's the thing. The perfect amount of wine with a meal is, of course, subjective. So how do you make it an objective statement? Well, you have to judge what is commonly preferred. And it is objectively not the case that a half a pint is the ideal amount of wine with a meal. Now, how can I say that? I've just said it's subjective. Because if you go shopping for wine glasses, You'll find them in several different sizes, but none of them will fit half a pint in. Not one of them. It's not that none of them are ideally made for half a pint. None of them will accommodate half a pint. The largest you can get is about 250 ml. So, I mean, sure, you could go to a niche place. You could go to a place that makes ridiculous wine glasses. You could get a wine glass that will fit an entire bottle in, I'm sure. 75 centilitre bottle, that is. But in terms of going to a normal shop selling normal sized wine glasses, yes, there's a variety, but none of them will hold half a pint. And that is because there is clearly no demand for one which accommodates half a pint of wine. Because there's no regulations on what size you can make a glass. There was no EU regulation. You do what you like. You make a glass as big or as small as you like. So it's objectively bollocks that there is any groundswell of opinion that half a pint of wine is just right with your meal. But this is just what the usual suspects have to work with. This is what the Brexit grifters have to turn into arguments to remain outside the EU. Because, I mean, let's step back and just look at the situation. There are lots of different polls on Brexit, and they've been over several years, and different polls ask different questions. You have to be careful of exactly what questions being asked, because they are all different. Some of them ask if it was right that we left the EU. Some will just say, should we have left the single market and customs union? Some will say, should we rejoin? Some will say, should we rejoin in, say, 10 years' time? Or should there be another referendum? There's lots of different ways of asking about people's views on Brexit. Lots of different polls out there. But every single one of them has a trajectory. And that trajectory is of regret for leaving the EU and a desire to rejoin. Now, the strength of feeling of regret is way higher than that of rejoining, because there's a lot of people going, well, we shouldn't have left. It would have been easy not to leave. But they recognise that joining is going to be way harder and might require a lot of changes they don't like. But the trajectory is in one direction only, and it is away from Brexit. And it's clear for any thinking Brexiteer that what the public were attracted to were better outcomes. You know, what the public were attracted to was cheaper goods, better paid jobs, easier access to housing, easier access to healthcare. But Brexiteers pitched their ideas to voters in different ways. They talked about mechanisms. Some of those mechanisms were around anti-immigration rhetoric. Some of it was on the promise of these brilliant trade deals. But ultimately, what was appealing to the voter was them being better off as a result. You know, they might have believed, oh, yes, if we reduce immigration, we'll have better access to this, this and this. You won't. But you can see how they would think that. Or, oh, if we get these better trade deals, oh, yeah, we can see how if we can sell more to around the world, then, you know, that's more money coming to the country and I'll get a better paid job. You can see that. But the opposite has happened. Brexiteers have tried to show that COVID and the war in Ukraine was responsible for many of the problems which are actually Brexit. It's worked on some. You can see how it worked on some, but it hasn't worked on enough people. The polls are clear. People do not think Brexit has worked at all. And the reason for that is because although they went along with mechanisms, what appealed to them were outcomes. They wanted the cheaper goods. They wanted the better paid jobs, the better access to the healthcare, the better access to housing. It hasn't delivered any of those things. It's made them worse. And some Brexiteers, they still try to fight about the Brexit benefits. They fiddle economic and trade data, but they don't understand that they can fiddle the data as much as they like. What they don't understand is ordinary members of the public judge the state of the economy by the state of their standard of living. You try telling ordinary people that we've got these great trade deals and that we're exporting loads more now, which is all lies, by the way, we're not. But it doesn't matter that they're lies. You try telling people that and their response is, so why aren't I better off then? And there's only two answers to that question. First, that the claims being made are lies, in which case you're not selling Brexit. Second, that these trade deals and different export markets aren't actually delivering prosperity for ordinary people, in which case you're still not selling Brexit, are you? The fact of the matter is there's only one way to sell Brexit. People's lives have to get better, and you have to link those improvements with Brexit. Only there's a small flaw in the plan, because the only people in politics who really want Brexit, the ones who really actually want it, are the same people who want to crush people's standards of living because they want to make slaves of the entire population. So the very people who are most motivated to promote Brexit are not at all motivated to make sure that the general population benefits from it. And any Brexiteers out there who are capable of rational thought, They will understand that the public are not impressed with Brexit. The polling's clear. They will also know that the standards controls coming next year are going to represent another blow to their nonsense. And they will also know that Labour are about to come in and have made no secret of wanting much closer deals and relationships with our EU neighbours, including full alignment. And as people's standard of living goes up, hand in hand with what will effectively be a reversal of Brexit, a slight reversal of Brexit, how can the public draw any conclusion other than putting the extreme Tory Brexit in reverse has made things better? So should we carry on down that road? Yeah, let's do that. You know, the Brexiteers need some material to work with, and they need it quickly. Give us something to win the public over, they're saying. The trajectory is already against Brexit. If Labour come in and start making people's lives better, hand in hand with reversing Brexit, we have lost. It's over. We're just waiting for that next referendum, right? Give us something to work with, they said to the Tory government. All right, Rishi Sunak said, tell you what, as a special favour to you, wine in pint bottles. You could almost feel sorry for them, couldn't you? Almost. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.